Welcome to Cos Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Jason Hunt here, inviting you to join us every Saturday morning for news. The week's headlines in science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books, video games, plus Comic-Con updates and the weather, and the occasional interview along the way. We call it Good Morning Multiverse. We hope you join us every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, right here on Sci-Fi For Me TV.
Here we go again.
Help me!
And we are live on the Critical Blast podcast channel. I am your host, RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, Chief Envelope Licker for Critical Blast Logistics, myopic proofreader for Critical Blast Publishing, and I still work with folks on their data issues with Critical Blast Consulting if you should have a question about what you're getting in your crowdfunding data. Tonight, cameras off. That's a conspiracy so that you don't realize that both RJs on the channel tonight are the same person. No, I'm kidding. This is RJ Shaw. Welcome to the channel, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to do it. So you've got your campaign is doing rather well.
Not too bad. We are reach about 7,500 so far. So we're doing pretty good. My goal has been met. I usually just set a low goal anyways, because I usually have a comic well into construction before we actually go up. So we're about 50% done right now.
Yeah, it's I can tell you put a lot of thought into your goal because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, yeah, that's just slapping something down. Either that or you're in another country with Are you in another country?
Sometimes.
Okay.
So the reason why I have it as 1, 2, 3, 4 is because I'm always going on about virtue, and there's 4 virtues. So I just figured 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll do.
That'll work then. Well, let me put the campaign up on the stream here and start talking about this. I mean, yeah, you're 7,700, 626% of goal. Still have 33 days left. So this thing's just barely to the halfway point.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. This one is a little different than the last book that I put out. The last book was, it ended up being about 84 pages, and it was a full story the entire way through. This one is 3 separate stories with 1 backup story. Each one is 22 to 24 pages long, except for the backup story. And they're going to be published as 1 complete graphic novel, but also as floppies. So if you want them as floppies and just want to order 1 small floppy instead of the entire thing, you can do so as well. And I have multiple teams working on it. That's why we have divided it up in this way. It was hard on Renzo trying to get 82 pages done last time. So I have a whole bunch of teams working on this one. I have Renzo working on the story for Kit Fox, the redemption of Kit Fox. I have Martin Stevenson working on the Valiant Heroes story, which is the first one. And I have an old hand from Marvel, actually 2 old hands from Marvel, if I can get my ducks in a row, working on the Thor story. It's Mike Gustovich, who you might remember from the very first run of
Justice
New
Machine.
Mutants, and worked on a couple of other, well, actually most other Marvel and DC heroes that you've heard of.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good get. I'd love to see what he's going to do on this. So the first book we're referencing here is the Thomas Valiant book. That received a lot of critical acclaim when you were showing the images of it, and there were when it was in campaigning. How was it received once it delivered, or it has delivered, hasn't it?
Oh yes, it's all been shipped out. I wouldn't have started this one unless I had shipped that first one out. But it was very well received by the people who ordered it. I got a lot of good feedback from it. I will have to listen to my audience, and there is some things with my storytelling that I can make more, I think, more relevant, more bring it to the forefront. But most people really liked it, and the fact that these are grounded heroes, something that you would get in, as I usually say, off the spinner rack from Marvel in 1982.
Let's take a look at who's in this book here, because you guys, how many 152 backers, 152 people so far want to know what's going on with the Valiant Heroes. Now, do they call themselves that? I mean, that's after Thomas Valiant, I would guess.
Yes, that was the end of the first book. They got their name chosen for them, more or less, and that's what happened at the end of Thomas Valiant. And I do plan to do some books in the future that'll focus on Thomas Valiant himself, but this is more of a story about the heroes, which include Thomas Valiant, without a focus on him.
Okay, so this first character, now I'm getting familiar vibes from her, but there's so many costumes out there. Of course, they're going to be familiar. There's a little bit of Flying Sparks here. There's a little bit of Gotham Girl, a little bit of Katana. Obviously, she's got that blade going on there. So who is this?
This is Cardinal. This is a new character that I'm premiering in this book. She's actually in 2 of the stories, because she's probably going to be in the next book as well, which will be Thomas Valiant #2 when we eventually get to it. But the 2 characters, usually I take 2 different characters. Most of the time I take one Marvel and one DC and I smush them together in order to make a visual for my character. Although for this one, I took one DC character and I took a manga character and squished them together for this. This is a combination of one of the old Huntress uniforms and a character from I don't know, it's a very offbeat manga called Murder Princess.
Okay. Hey, nothing wrong with playing the Smash Up game. I used to have a toy when I was a kid called Mighty Men and Monster Makers, and it was literally just like a fashion plate thing. Uh, it was you got plates with heads, plates with torsos, and plates with legs, and you just rearranged them and then put paper over it, and then shaded the pencil over it, and there was your image to start working from. So I can totally dig that. They were great. Greg, I've got to agree with you. This has got to be a cover image, right? This can't be interior art, because you never get interior art of this quality and get it done on time.
No, it's not actually. It's only for the pinup poster. So this is not one of the cover images, but this is the main pinup poster that you can get with the campaign.
Okay, how big is this poster?
11 by 17.
That's big. That's big. That's bigger than a Gemini. So, you gonna tube that up? Are you gonna mail them flat? What are your plans on that?
Well, the same ones. That's the exact same I did as with the last ones. There's one fold in it, and that's it, and it will fold down to a size that will fit into a rigid mailer.
Yep, you're right. Fold it once across the vertical, and it will definitely fit in there. I ask because I pack these things all the time, and people want different things. But folding is one of the options we've done. I even went out and bought a. If you're going to do a bunch of these, you want to get one of these. I bought a mechanical paper folder, and all it does is you measure the poster and then you set the blocks on it. It's like a paper cutter. Really, it's got that big handle that swings down, but it puts a perfect crease right down the very center of the thing, which makes it easy to fold and looks a lot nicer than if you fold it by hand and then you pinch all the way down. You don't get all those pie crust kind of finger indentations down the dent. It's a beautiful thing. Heartily recommend getting one if you're going to do a lot of paper folding. Now, this looks more like, this is another pinup. This is pinup B, still to be finished. Both, by the way, to be finished. They both look darn near professional quality already, so I don't know what more is being done on them.
Well, for this one, for Renzo's, I'm simply going to add a logo to the side, which is why we have some extra space there on the side.
Gotcha.
For the other one, my artist he's continually working on the shading. He says, oh, the shading's not right. And they'll give it to me and say, I want to do a little bit more on the face. And then he does it a little more. So there's just little tweaks on that first one.
He's a perfectionist. And what artist isn't? It's it's a thing. Hey there, Eagle Rider. Glad to see you're out there. Pops, hey yo. Appreciate everybody popping in to check out this campaign. I don't want to say there's plenty of time to get on this one because it makes people walk away and say, yeah, I'll get it later. Don't get this one later, because you know what'll happen? Something will come up on that last day and you'll forget about it. You'll get a flat tire on the way home from work, or you'll get a bill in the mail that requires your money then when you had money now. So this is Indiegogo. No reason to wait. Jump in and take care of this one and get it into your mailing list. It's going to be coming out in a year. So, get it and forget it, be surprised next year when it comes in. Is that a hard date on that, or are you planning on actually hitting that earlier? Because It is a ways out, and it
I
sounded like
am
you were
actually planning
going on a pretty
on.
good trip.
Yeah, I'm planning on hitting it earlier as I'm trying. I'm going to try. It all depends on my artists, of course. It all depends on when they can get all the art into me. But if at all possible, I'm going to try for the end of the summer. But I have to put a date on it for Indiegogo so that if it does go late, I won't get into trouble with their algorithm and them sending me emails. So usually I just put a date of a year on it.
Yeah, that's not a bad plan. Always under promise and over deliver. Uh, so this is the graphic novel cover. So this is if you're going to get all three of them in one book. Grab it here. Rosetta, I'm sorry you're feeling bad. I hope you start feeling better there. Sean from the great city of St. Louis, Missouri. Glad you're here. From Biff Bam Boom Comics. Always glad to have you in the show and on the show, by the way. So let's take a look at who's on this cover, because it makes me wonder if the three stories are interrelated in some fashion.
Yes, they are interrelated. It's very subtle, but it's all connected to this one character in the middle. Her name is Disc. She was introduced in the first book, and it's all connected. Again, I tried to make each story a separate story so that if you're coming in cold, it's a complete story, and you really don't need anything else to understand what's going on within your story. But at the same time, if you've read Thomas Valiant #1, you might know a little bit about how and why she's in a little bit of a desperate strait because in the first book, she had a little bit of an accident with her powers. And that's the basis of the three stories that are coming out, three main stories for this book.
Okay, so this top story here, this is Kit Fox, right?
Correct.
Well, it's several people actually. I see Cardinal in the background as well.
Yes. And there's one other, they're basically the proteges of Kit Fox, which some of them were introduced in Thomas Valiant #1. The other one being attacked by the monster would be Grey Jay.
Okay, so this is sort of a Batman riff when you have kid sidekicks and a guy who swings on a rope. If he swings on a rope, he doesn't fly, no powers. You got to figure it's that kind of thing, which I love, by the way. I
Yeah,
love the
well,
golden age
I
of history, man.
I did when I put this character in the original story, he was meant to be a side character, which he was in the first story, but Renzo just loved this character. He loved designing this character. He loved designing the proteges for this character because there was a number of them. And it was what I basically did for my entire universe was I'm trying to appeal to those people who don't want to read Marvel and DC anymore because they just don't feel like it's in the right. So I thought to myself, how do I create a universe where I can deliver people both Marvel and DC characters? And I thought, okay, let's take the event of Amalgam, which happened around 1995,
Loved it, loved it, loved
and
it.
say to myself, what happened if that never stopped? What happened if that continued on and it's now 25, 27 years later? What would the world look like? And what would, a Batman type protege look like? And Renzo just ran with this idea. He loved Batman. He loved Robin. And when he was designing this character, he gave me sketches about what his utility things should be like and everything. And he said, I want to do a story where we redeem this character because you have him in Thomas Valiant #1 as a villain type character. He said, please let me redeem this character as I want to work on this character so much. And I said, that sounds great. If you want to put that much love into your art and draw an entire separate story for this, then let's go with that.
So that sounds like there might be even more Kit Fox in the future then for the Fourth Age comics.
Well, yeah, I want to hold on to Renzo as long as I can because he is a great artist. I honestly think he's basically a young George Perez or George Byrne, and he does honor to this character because he feels so much for those old stories where these characters were in his youth.
Now this is Renzo Rodriguez.
Correct.
Okay, because he did a cover for the Company Men, which was just absolutely stunning. So yeah, you're correct in that assessment about being a young Perez or a young Byrne. This guy's going to make some waves in comics.
He also
Going
worked
clockwise.
with Richard doing Impossible Stars, and he does do some stuff for Boom, I do believe, and Xenoscope. So he does have his hand in there. He's doing a lot, and he wants to be using his art for the mainstay of how he's making his money in his life. So he's all in.
Sounds like it. Now, so going clockwise around the cover here, we come up to the rampaging Thor. It's like that's not the adjective that goes with that. That adjective goes somewhere else. And but this is obviously a new Thor. And what's he like? How's he different?
How's he different? He is, well, if you read Thomas Valiant #1, he is definitely the villain in Thomas Valiant #1. But if you can tell by this image here, we're going back to the origin of this character. And people wanted me to dial it back with this character and give more of a backstory to it. So this is a World War II story. And even though it is tied in with the rest as well. This is the one that Mike Gustovich is working on, and he is giving it such a 80s vibe with his art. I only have a couple of pages right now of his pencils, but it is something, quite honestly, that you would pick up from Marvel or DC in the 1980s. But with the character itself, it's more of a Jekyll and Hyde type character. I always liked the idea of Thor with Donald Blake. I don't think current Thor appeals to me, really doesn't, that in Marvel, because Donald Blake isn't there. He hasn't been there for a while. I mean,
Decades.
I do believe that Walter Simonson's run was the best run of Thor, and really one of the best runs in comics ever. But without Donald Blake, it doesn't have what it needs in order to tie him to his humanity. And I decided, okay, well, let's do a story about a Thor character where Thor is the bad guy, but his alter ego, the Donald Blake type character, wants to be the good guy. And so it becomes a Jekyll and Hyde type story in that fashion.
So that's very much like the old transforming Thor, but also like the original Hulk. Because Hulk was created to be, an anti-hero. That's why he was green and purple. Later on, he was secondary colors.
Yeah, very much. That's why I chose, of course, the rampaging Thor, because I was thinking to myself, how do I say to people that, yes, this is a Thor character and I want to make him visually look like Thor, although on this cover, he looks a little bit different because it's Renzo was doing it off of a future drawing of him than the cover, which will come on a little bit later on in this Indiegogo campaign. But yeah, I thought, how do I make it so that that he's not exactly a good guy? I said the rampaging Thor. That exactly encapsulated, because you think of the rampaging Hulk, and how he's not exactly a hero, but you want to follow his adventures anyway.
That's what I like. And then clockwise around the corner here again, you've got a gentleman flying, and you've got a young were creature, it looks like.
Yes, these would be two characters from the Valiant Heroes. This is the main story, the first story, I guess you would say, of the book, which is following Pulse, who is the fellow on top, and Farrell, who is the were woman on the bottom. And it follows a story where, as you can see in the background, there's a full moon, and so the werewolf type character gets a little bit out of control.
All right. So those are the three stories that are going to be in this book, 82 pages total. So these are going to be pretty much your standard size comic book stories, 22 pages or thereabouts, a little bit more. Plus, with, I'm sure you're going to have some pinup material inside here, or are you just going full story all the way through?
Well, it depends on the stretch goals. For the floppy comics, there's actually going to be, 3 to 6 pages, depending on which book, of extras within the floppy comics. There's going to be a couple of pinups and a couple of story extras that I'm going to add with those. But with the main book itself, there's going to be the 3 main stories, and the backup story is going to be the extra in the graphic novel.
Okay, gotcha. So this is the cover for #1. And this was the Feral and Pulse story. Her outfit's a little tight there, or is she fully transformed there? Is she like Tigra? She doesn't need anything when she transforms?
Well, actually, that's funny. I actually, like I said, I like to take two characters, usually a Marvel and a DC one, and squish them together. And what I did with this character, I squished together. Of course, you'll probably recognize uh, Wolfbane from the New Mutants, but also the cheetah from Wonder Woman, who was the
Oh
villain. So I wanted to make the character in that vein. And again, Renzo was the one who just took these characters and ran with them to do all the character designs. She does have stuff on when you see her transformed, for anybody who wants to know, because I make my book for all ages so that anybody can read them. But yeah, this is what she looks like fully transformed.
And that's a big ugly monster. Is that a crowd of monsters, or is this some sort of elder god they're going into here?
No, that's a crowd of monsters.
Okay. These are the interior pages from the same. So who's drawing your interiors here?
This is Martin Stevenson that's doing the interiors for this.
That's some nice action. Look at this flip off here. She's hitting him with her feet, and then she's bouncing back to safe zone and landing, sticks the landing, and then back in again. I love this kind of action drawing. You can follow this all in one smooth panel. And a bit of a victory howl, because like you said, she's fully wolfed out right now with the full moon going.
Yeah, Martin does exceptional things with shadow and light, and he does his work traditionally on paper with a pencil, and then he'll redo them and ink them. So he brought them to life with his own art. He wants to be able to get down the pen and paper before he ever moves on to anything digital. So he does some spectacular things with shadow and light within these pages.
Here are some civilian identity shots. Looks like she's being pulled out. Oh, I get it. She's stumbling in, and that would be Thomas Valiant there. He's the guy that stretches.
Correct.
So she's back in from the fight. She's passing out. He's going to catch her, and they're going to find out what happened. The redemption of Kit Fox. Now, this is this the backup story, or is this the second floppy? And is the second floppy still going to be a number one?
Well, that's that's why I'm offering them as floppies and as the graphic novel itself. So this is the second story in the graphic novel. It's the number one if you get it in a floppy format. So that's why it has a separate cover. This is the cover here, which you can also get as a pinup poster. But it will be listed as number one, because one of the things I like to do with my books is that instead of giving you the date on the cover when it is published, you get the date on the cover when the story actually occurs, so that if you have eventually a pile of these, you know which one comes in what order.
You got a reading order built into it. Okay. I can dig that. That's cool. Kind of reminds me of when DC put the little numbered diamonds on all the Superman stories, so you knew what order to read them in.
I forgot that they did that. Yeah.
That was ways back. So this is possibly not a pinup. It's definitely another cover. I'm digging this kind of a Celtic cross kind of design that they're all sticking out of here. And these are all the sidekicks he's gone through.
There is a massive battle scene at the end of this book, which involves all of his proteges and the monsters that are coming out in this book.
Now, you mentioned how Cardinal is loosely halfway based on Huntress. Is that because, and you probably can't answer this because it's spoiler territory, but is she Kit Fox's daughter?
Well, Yeah, it is
Yep.
spoiler territory.
That's what I thought.
But the point of I guess is the fact that, which I can talk about, is that Kit Fox is a legacy. So this version of Kit Fox, although we've never seen any other version, he's just taken up the mantle, and he's the one who has beat out all the other proteges to take the mantle of Kit Fox, and now the proteges have become his. So there's not exactly the smoothest relationship between them. Let's just put it that way.
I can imagine. Y'all beat us out for this job, and now we've got to listen to you. It's oh, good Lord, this is a Marshall Rogers homage. And I say that because look at the ears on this dude. That's the way Marshall Rogers put ears on the Batman. Just reached all the way up to heaven.
Yeah, like I said, Renzo is just going all full tilt with this character. He just loves it so much.
Now, this is a panel. This isn't a cover.
It is.
This
This
is
is the first page.
Oh Lord, folks. if this picture alone didn't convince you to get in on this story, because that is the story artwork, then there's no help for you. This is a classic mystery man waterfront fight, and he doesn't come out of it too well, which is good. It has some fallibility to the hero. Let you know that he's not, not immortal. And apparently somebody else is having some mortality issues because he's visiting them in the hospital. I'm making this all up as I go along because there's no lettering, right?
No, I like to leave lettering to the very end because I always change the story depending on the art, because I think the art tells the story as much as my scripts do. And I want to take things I have anyways with Thomas Valiant. There were some things that Renzo put into the art where I didn't intend to go in that direction, but he just ran with it and it made it part of the story. So I tweak the lettering right up until it's the last thing that I do, so that I can use it to change the story and make it better with the art if I need to do so.
Yep, that's the what they call the Marvel method. That's why it goes down last. And then we're hitting the rampaging Thor. Good God Almighty, look at that. That's beautiful. Can I make this any bigger here? Just a tiny bit. I like the design on the hammer. Because it makes it stylistically unique now. It's no longer, a brick on a stick, which everybody's used to every Thor having.
I had trouble, with the Thor character. Again, Renzo designed the hammer because the Thor character does have the hammer in the future, which is what Thomas Valiant is. Because as you see, we got World War II tanks in the background here.
Right.
That we have designed already, but I gave the artist a couple of really, they're old, probably 1800s, somewhere 1890s pictures of Thor that were drawn, old panels for old books, and this is the look that he had, so I went with that.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I understand Thor is capable of making it from World War II to the present day, because Asgardian god, they live a long time. But what about his human counterpart? Is it still the same human counterpart from World War II that he has in the present day?
Well, actually, again, that's getting into spoiler territory, because
Okay.
that's one of the things you have to wonder about this book is this guy, well, if you can read the little blurb underneath, he's a medic in World War II, and he stumbles across what is basically a prison for Thor in the middle of the mountains, and he inadvertently releases him, and so gets bound to Thor as his human counterpart. But the question is, will he actually survive this? It's one of the questions. It's because it's no longer the war that has to worry about whether or not he's going to live through. It's his attachment to Thor.
And apparently, I would guess that his human half might get some magical influx just by virtue of the connection. So, but we'll read it and
You
see.
are
I will
correct.
definitely read it and see. Look at this beautiful penciled page of explosions and the war going on. The soldiers here. If you can't see, well, you can see it better on the little screen than you can on the big one, actually. So yeah, this is a great war comic page here. This is like some of the best Sergeant Rocks I ever read.
This is Martin Stevenson, and he usually, I'm sorry, not Martin Stevenson. This is Mike Gustovich, and usually he likes to, well, he originally was an inker, and he is actually inking the other book that we're working on right now, which is Crom the Destroyer, which is a Conan-like book. He did work on Conan for Marvel, Conan the King, and he's doing the inking for that, and he does it traditionally all with ink and brush. But with this, he wanted to do the pencils, and we don't know if he's going to do the inking for it yet. I'm looking again at there's another old Marvel inker and DC inker that wants to get in on this as well. So we're going to try to spread the work around a little bit, because I just love the fact that, quite honestly, I have a lot of these old Marvel and DC hands calling me and saying, "Yeah, can I help?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, definitely you can help. I just need to find something to give to you."
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike Gustovich loves the Bronze and Silver Age art style. He's also working with Austin Huff on the Masters series that's coming out from Power Comics, which is very much Bronze and Silver Age art style and storytelling. And now there's a fourth story. So now I'm trying to figure out what's going in each of the floppies.
So the three stories that you've hit so far are the three. This is the backup story. Yes. This is the story that contains a character who I just want to introduce in this short backup story, which also contains a cardinal within the pages of it. It's being handled by Light Comic and Manga Studios. And they're doing it in a manga-esque format, because that's what they usually do.
Sure.
But it's just an introduction. I find that I want to do something fun and something a lot different than I usually do, because a lot of my stories are very complex and interconnected. And for this backup story, I said, I just want to do something fun. I just want to do, something that you would find, again, in an annual from an old Marvel or DC comic, something that's a story and that is appealing and introduces you to a character, but doesn't have to have you, concentrating on every single panel to try to figure out all the details of the mystery.
Yeah, I love the clean line work on this. I mean, this is just I wouldn't even want this inked. I would love to just have this in a frame on my wall, especially that top panel, the camera angle. It's not the straight on angle that you get in a lot of pictures. This is like, hey, let's put it up in the corner of the ceiling and shoot downward from here. Gives it such a much more dynamic look to it.
That's one of the things also about dealing with people who do manga type art. I try to incorporate within each of the panels, each of the pages, a heavy amount of background, because they love to work with background. They love to set the tone for the entire piece with the background. I find they do that exceptionally well.
Yeah, it's gorgeous here. Those backgrounds and the fore. I just love the pencil work. I'm all about the pencils. So here are the perks. There's an 82-page graphic novel with 3 main stories of 22 to 26 pages each and 1 8-page backup. Or you can get the 3 floppies, which include the 22 to 26 pages plus 3 to 6 pages of extras. So the backup's not going to be in any of the 3 floppies. That's only going to be in the graphic novel.
Correct.
Okay, making sure I've got this straight. I know people like to get the floppies, but now, Pops, looking at you there, I know you're the floppy guy. That's not what she said, by the way. But if you want the extra story, it's only going to be in the graphic novel. You get 5 pinup posters. I think we've seen all of them, or are there still more to be shown?
Nope, all 5. Some of them are the covers. You can also get them as pinup posters.
Okay, and if you missed Thomas Valiant, well, here it is. Your chance to get that is here. Are these all tiers, or are they add-ons?
You can get anything, any perk. You can add on everything at the end. So if you want to get a perk of, let's say, the 3 floppies, and you want to add on all of the pinup posters, you can do that when you check out. Everything that's available within the perks is available separately as an extra add-on when you check out as well.
All right. I was going to ask who this guy was here, but he's holding the hammer. This is Thor. You're right. This is a definitely different look from the past Thor to this Thor.
This is the one from Thomas Valiant #1. Again, Renzo just nailed it when he introduced this character. This is the introduction of the character. I'm including this with it as well because although it won't help anybody right now, but if you did sign up early, you get a free pinup poster with your order. So everybody who signed up early is getting this pinup poster with their book as well. This is the current day version of Thor, who has gone through a lot of changes and become stronger. Well, I suppose it's not a spoiler anymore because it's in Thomas Valiant #1, by killing other gods.
Oh, that's there can be only one kind of situation. He gets a quickening. All right, the stretch goals. Got the 4th Age logo sticker. That is unlocked. So now we are trying to get to the 6 Thomas Valiant hero stickers. So you don't mean 6 of Thomas Valiant. You mean 6 of the heroes that were in Thomas Valiant.
Correct.
All right, and then the 6 Thomas Valiant villain stickers at 15K, which hopefully we're going to hit that. Hopefully with all of them, make you think of some new ones. 20K, there's a pinup of Feral, and 25K, there will be a Rampaging Thor collector card.
I did offer cards with my last campaign, which was Thomas Valiant. They actually sold extremely well, but they were just difficult to make. And since this campaign sort of came on of a sudden, we were supposed to do the Crom the Destroyer campaign next, but my artist for that, who is Jim O'Reilly, he had to move suddenly in the middle of last year, and so the art for that got put on hold. So we decided, since we were far along in this book, that we would just put this one out first, and so didn't have time to make cards up for this one as well. But there were available 12 trading cards in the last campaign, so you get to add that to your collection if we reach that stretch goal, if you have the other cards.
Very nice. I've got some concept artwork here for Cardinal. Progress so far. So you can see how far this thing's come along. And then, of course, there is the Thomas Valiant #1, which will be available through here if you didn't get it on the last campaign. Is this a new cover?
No, this is the cover that came with Thomas Valiant #1.
Okay. For some reason, I had a different picture in my head for Thomas Valiant.
Oh, you're probably thinking of the cover that was for the script, because I also sold a separate book which was the script for Thomas Valiant. You got that with the first campaign if you ordered it, and it had Renzo's cover on it, where it had the heroes just standing on the front.
Yep, that's definitely the one I was thinking of. So featured tier, $25 for this graphic novel here. You are shipping in the United States, then you are looking at, let's type it in and find out. $12 shipping. That is $37 USD. So you would want to do this, and then you would want to, pick your card, and then you would want to say you agree. This is a walkthrough, people. This is how this is done. And then you submit payment. So that's how that's done. Click on that and follow through. Now, I didn't see the add-ons. I missed the add-ons. I will have to go back and take care of that, because I will want to we'll want to get some of those pinups for sure, and a Thomas Valiant #1. So, Pops is here with Jim O'Reilly information. Yeah, Jim's in Phoenix now, and if you want to see what he's doing, he hosts a show with Rich Perotta on Monday over on the Madness Comics Network, which we are simulcasting at this very moment. So we are affiliated with the network that way. So
Jim is a spectacular artist. I think I couldn't have picked a better person to work on Crom the Destroyer. His detail is just amazing. I can see why he does. He takes his time with his art, but I got no problem with that because so what he just grows every time he does another page. The first page for Crom the Destroyer is a page with the main character on a horse, and you can see every muscle in that horse.
Yeah, he I think the first time I found out about Jim O'Reilly, it was one of the alternate covers he did for the Embrace. And if it wasn't a cover, it was a pinup, but he did something for the Embrace. So the individual floppies, if you want to get those, depending on which hero set you want to read about, $8, $8, $8. And $25 for all three. Now look at this. You can get 3 floppies for $25. Or you can get the 3 stories for the $25 and get a backup. So you'll get more story for the same $25. By the way, when you're bundling things up, you usually knock it down $1 instead of bumping it up $1. 3 times 8 is 24, and you charge 25. Somebody smart's going to figure that out.
Well, you do get with the floppies, you also get the 3 to 6 pages of backup, which is pinup art and also extra story, which is not really extra story. It's more of like I did with Thomas Valiant when I offered a map tier with that. My map tier came with a separate letter, which explained a lot of. It's an in-world letter from basically the organization which runs like Shield in this world, but it's a full letter that gives you a lot of the story in the background. The same with the cards. On the cards, I just packed so much into the back of those cards, and it's all in-world extras. Nothing that is crucial to the story, but something that gives you a little bit of extra flavor and taste, and that's what's available in those floppies.
So there's a little bit of extra material in this bundle. So I take back what I said. You are getting a little bit extra when you get this one. This is where I should have gone. I should have gone to the cart to this one. That's what I get for just showing off and picking the featured tier. So I'll go back and I will fix this up because I want to get that cardinal pinup. This cardinal pinup right here. This is just it's eye magnetizing. It almost looks painted, and almost looks like a 3D figure painted. Eric, howdy, welcome to the show.
I was very fortunate to run across an artist who he was not the most fortunate for him. He was having a little bit of trouble, and he gave a shout out on Twitter, and I said, "Hey, listen, your art is spectacular. If you want to do something for me, I'll give you a project to work on." And I have to say, he just makes spectacular art. I'll probably go back to him again and again for pinup posters.
All right. If you want the other pinup, you can get this graphic novel configuration. The Kit Fox pinup. Oh, that's gorgeous. Got to get that one too. Basically, if you want a graphic novel and one of the pinups, it's going to be an extra $5 for the pinup. Figure out which one you want ahead of time, and then add them on as necessary. The combo pack here, first and second graphic novel. So this is the Thomas Valiant story. That was a full-on graphic novel as opposed to a floppy.
Yes.
Okay, I was not aware of that, or I had forgotten it because we had you on for that book. It was a while back, but we did.
Yeah, and it's I went with a printing company that is extremely good binding, I find, and many people praise the binding for it because it is 80. Well, I did include a couple of pages from the Kit Fox story in the back, so it was more like I think 86 or 88 pages, but it is extremely well bound, and uh, it's something that's one of the things I always found I lamented about the old Marvel and DC square bound stuff. You got so much, and I loved them so much, but they were always a poorer quality when they had the square bound. I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that I treated my customers right when I went and picked out a printer for this.
You want to give your printer a shout out, or you want to keep them all to yourself?
No, my printer is tucked away in the small little town. I don't think anyone
Okay.
else is going to be ever using them.
Might give them business, you know. Say, I'll pay for shipping. You can get the graphic novel and all 5 of the pinups. If you can't make up your mind which one's the best looking one, this is for you. And 7 people have obviously had the same conundrum. The full bundle is going to get you all of this. You're going to get the number 1. You're going to get the pinup. You're going to get the 30-page comic. You're going to get the 26-page, and you're going to get the graphic novel and the 3 comics that go together with it, plus the 5 pinups. That's the best way to say it. So that's the full Kit Fox and caboodle. It wasn't even funny. I tried, but then there's the other full bundle. Same as above, but you get Thomas Valiant #1 added into it. $85, everything. There it is. And if you want everything times 5, no, that's not it. This is 5 copies of the graphic novel, right? Yeah, plain and simple. You're a retailer. Yep. You want to put this on your shelf. This is the thing to get. So, I'm guessing that after this, once this is done, you're going to be going back full bore into the previous project that got put on hold.
Yes. Again, it is a Conan-like book. Again, I'm trying to go back to the original. Well, not the original Robert E. Howard Conan, but the stories that inspired the original Robert E. Howard Conan, which would be Khan of the 100 Battles and things like that, which is old Irish myth. So I wanted to base a character off of that mythological character itself and bring it into what is really is the like Marvel's Conan. It is the pre-origin, the prehistory of this world. So it's a fantasy world, but it's the same world as Thomas Valiant, just thousands of years before.
Okay, I was going to ask that because with a positive response to that, that brings up the possibility, not necessarily of doing what Marvel did with Thor and put art with Conan and putting him in the Avengers and all that. That was ridiculous. But Thor's an old guy, so there's the potential for a prehistoric Thor and Crom to have met up.
Well, there is I'll have to say one connection I've already established between the Crom the Destroyer character and this book, actually. But it's not something I'm just going to be bringing out because I want to save that for my Crom the Destroyer when I go on with it. But it's more of a I really like, what was it? That X-Men story where you had I can't even remember his name. The old Red Sonja villain brought forward into the future.
Yeah,
but
I know who you're
the way
talking
that
about.
they
I
did
can't
that,
remember his
and
name either.
yeah, and but the way that they did that, I think, was to connect the two worlds without actually technically connecting them in the same plane of existence, or I don't know, in the same because he was it was tied together by basically artifacts and things like that. So that's how I want to connect these two worlds.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google to try see if I could figure out who it was, and I'm not getting it real quickly here. I don't think it's Rejak. Yeah, I'll dig around for that one. That's got me curious now who that was. Anyway, we are at the top of the hour here. This is the point, since it's an Indiegogo, I need to refresh the screen to see if anything happened here. And of course, I backed it, so I know that happened, so I'm not going to count that. But I didn't count the number of backers, so I don't know if I don't know if anybody else backed other than me here. So if you backed, give us a shout out in the chat. Let us know that you participated in this. We love to see campaigns go up when they're on the show. Went up 3%, so it's probably just my backing there. Anyhow, looking forward to reading this now that I'm in for the ride. I'm gonna go back in and modify that. I got to get those pinups and stuff. But thank you so much for bringing this on the show tonight. It's always a pleasure talking with you. This is an exciting universe you're building here, and I think it's being underappreciated right now. Every time I see it, I'm excited about it, and then it's like I don't hear much about it anymore. So I don't know what we can do about that to get you out in front of more people. I mean, you're active on online. I see you out there.
That's just the I don't know, the troubles of being a writer instead of an artist. The artists get all the best press because
This is
they
true.
can create visuals. But I put together businesses before in my life, and I don't see this as any different. It's going to take me a while to get up steam and to make sure that the word gets out there that I give you quality. And I think that's going to be the real thing that needs to push me forward, and is what every comic should have to push them forward.
All right. Well, RJ, thank you again for coming on tonight. Looking forward to talking with you again. I mean, you got 33 more days. If you want to come in at the end of the campaign before you hit in demand, whatever, hit me up anytime. We'll be happy to make space for you on the show. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here. We don't have a show without you. We're just a podcast falling in the woods, I say otherwise. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night, everybody.